Hey Jill, it's Owen, how are you? Good, I'm gonna put you on speakerphone and then we're gonna start. Thanks. Okay, I will call the September 5th Budget Committee meeting to order at 7:01 PM. Let's stand for pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll do the roll call.
Donna Danis,
Robert Kelly.
Charlotte Fife,
Sandra Jones.
Michael Kelly.
Owen Friend Gray.
Karen Quinn.
Jeffrey Morrison.
Danielle Roy.
Tim Gabriel.
And Jillian Eldridge is on the phone.
Hi, Jillian.
hi Jill.
Approval of meeting minutes from 4:18. I don't know if anybody had any comments. I reviewed them. They looked good to me. I didn't notice anything.
I only have two small things, my name.
Not the smallest one.
Wrong.
Daniel versus Danielle, happens all the time.
No.
It's on line 3 and line 70.
And it's also on the members.
While we're at it, we should correct the spelling of my name as well.
Yes, we
Kaaryn. So it's on line 40 and line 61. Well, 61, 63, 66, 67, 69. And then there was one more. 73. I think that's all of them.
Jill's name is consistently misspelled too.
So we'll grab.
Jillian Eldridge, it should be E-L.
All right, so just so we can correct, this is for our secretary, so the correct spelling of Eldridge is E-L-D-R-E-D-G-E, and that'll be throughout the document. Correct spelling for Danielle is D-A-N-I-E-L-L-E, and the correct spelling for Karen is K-A-R-Y-N, all throughout the document.
Excellent. And did you have another one, Danielle?
Nope.
Okay.
I have two questions. One is on line 142. Mr. Friend Gray suggested the committee members read the Ribbons rules. Is it?
Oh, it's not Riggins.
Yeah,
Good
it's
catch.
Robert's rules,
Roberts.
right? I was like, oh my God, I don't know the Riggins rules.
I was getting deep cut for you guys.
Yeah, and then on line 152, Mr. Robert Kelly asked for an excused absence. I didn't remember if you asked for one actually, or if you were asking what one was.
No, I was asking for one.
Okay, good, just wanted to clarify that. In line 139, Ms. Fife wanted a clarification on attendance requirements. 139 changed to Ms. Fife wanted a clarification on attendance.
Okay, so anything else? Anybody saw? So I would entertain a motion with the previously stated corrections.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes with the previously stated corrections.
Second that motion?
First, motion by Ms. Danis, second by Mr. Michael Kelly. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
I'll abstain.
Thank you. And Tim is abstaining, so that will
just-
be a 10-0-1.
Jillian via the phone voted yes, and Tim DeRio abstained.
Yes, thank you. So we had a discussion last year to this extent a little bit, but especially after the NHMA budget presentation that we had maybe a month or so ago, it seemed like it made a lot of sense to have some sort of living document that sort of laid out basic rules, expectations, standards, and then they also really focused on having previously defined either conditions or standards, things like what is an excused versus an unexcused absence, things of that nature, so that it's not just judgment calls in the moment, everybody sort of agreed to it in advance. And I thought that made a lot of sense, especially because with as much turnover as can happen on these boards, it's probably really nice to have a document that would lay all of this out anyway, that can go year to year. Even if it changes every single year, at least you have some starting point. So in that effort, I found a document from Chesterfield, New Hampshire, that they had enacted about 6-7 years ago, that I thought was fairly straightforward, and relatively succinct. I looked at several of these online and found a lot of them to be a bit over the top and unnecessarily complicated. And then also, you'll notice there is a Town of Litchfield one that Tim found and shared with everybody. That is another item having fairly similar components and aspects to it, just a bit of a different organization and a few different details. So I wasn't necessarily expecting, to have a full determination on this tonight, but I thought it'd be good to start the conversation and sort of get people's thoughts and inputs on maybe how we might want to go about crafting our own. Do we want to take one of these and modify it? Do we want to have people go through, make their own suggestions, send them in to me? I can compile a document for the next meeting perhaps that kind of highlights everybody's thoughts. I want to make sure we're grabbing basic conditions, rules, expectations, procedures, kind of trying to lay that all out. So I would like to just open it up to the board and see what everybody's thoughts are.
I like the idea of taking one and then, editing it, changing it, maybe, something that is missing from another one added in, but I think that would be a good idea. Decide if we start with this one or this one maybe, and go from there.
Yeah, when I was going through the one for Chesterfield, I just think the one in Litchfield it basically goes into more detail in some of the
Yeah.
pieces. It has all the same pieces. It just goes in, I think, into more detail.
Yeah. After reading the Litchfield one, I think I like that one a little better too. There's a little more detail. I'm not sure we need as many of the details as they have, but I think it was probably an easier document to work off of, because it's always easier to cut than add.
Yeah.
So I do like this one. This was a good find.
Which one is it, did you say?
Litchfield.
Litchfield.
Litchfield?
Yeah. The one on your left there, yeah, it's got
Okay.
that.
And so your suggestion is go home, take this, review it, and then send you edits, additions, and then the next meeting we would
I'll
come
try to
back and
compile so that
discuss.
everybody's into a singular document we can review.
Yep.
And then kind of go through and see what people's
And any
thoughts are.
communication to the chair needs to be him only.
Yeah.
And not communicating to all, because if we communicate to all, it's an unannounced meeting.
And that's one of those things too,
Yeah.
that's
So that, I'm
good to
saying
have
that
in
Yes.
to new people,
Yeah.
we've heard that to our dismay
Yes.
over the years for the people that have been here for a while. but-
Which you'll probably notice on my email communications now, I'm blind copying everybody so that nobody can by accident hit reply all.
Good idea.
That's the only reason I'm doing it that way. But so far it seems to work. Also, Ellen has an email list in her computer system somehow that doesn't pop up with everybody's details, so you can't reply all to it. So that also works. I know Google has ways to do that as well if people want to, set them up or whatever, but
I had a quick question.
yeah.
What would be the protocol? So like, say everybody goes home, digests the stuff, make suggestions. Would that come back to everybody's before the next meeting, or could,
Yeah,
or could it
that's
just,
my hope.
like, as a draft, so everybody could review, or?
Yeah, my hope is that maybe if I can get everybody's comments, because our next meeting is October 3rd. So if I can get everybody's comments in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Then I can take a week and try to compile it, or a little
Sure.
less, get it out to the group, and I'll just highlight sort of, within the document, the different recommendations. Obviously, I will go through and I'll change things like Litchfield and, all of those, and the
Yep.
specific, number of members and all of those kinds of things. Don't worry about that stuff. That's easy enough to modify.
Yep.
6 members to 7 members, obviously, we have 9 with the 2 ex officios, so,
So if we get you all of our comments, so 2 weeks would be the 19th,
yeah.
so by the
Yeah.
19th?
We can get it, yeah, or it can even say 20th, I don't know
20th
if
is a
that's
Friday,
easier, because
yeah,
it's a
that's
Friday.
Yep.
But yeah, if I can get comments by the 20th, I'll throw it all together in a single document that lists out, different thoughts, recommendations, ideas, and then we can come back as a group, and then we'll have one living document so that we could, I think, go through a little easier than leaving it open-ended.
Do we know if there's an electronic version that's editable of this?
I think it was a PDF,
create
right? But you
PDF, so
could pull a
I can make it-
PDF and dump it into a Word doc pretty
Okay.
easy. So I could do that and send it out to everybody, or Tim, or whatever, but yeah.
So,
Thank you.
do you want us to, like, how do you want us to comment? Do you want us to use, like, revisions in Word, or do you want us to just
I'm
spell out
probably
here?
gonna be, if I took a guess, I'm probably, based on all the different things I'm gonna have, I'm gonna be doing some sort of Word document that I just end up adding additional line items or something underneath. So if you wanna do it in something like a track changes, if you wanna even just write up,
I would prefer plain Jane.
Yes.
It'd be a
Plain
lot
Jane, write on
easier
it
for
and
me, just.
scan it
you
to
know,
me. I mean,
Yeah,
hell, take pictures with your cell phone and text it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care, that all works. And then I can easily compile them all into just a single Word document. Whatever works for you guys is easy enough for me.
Okay.
Because I'll be doing it sort of my own way anyway to compile. There's no way I'm gonna get them all
Okay,
in the same form from folks, so.
That's great.
good.
And then just another thing that I sent out with this, the NHMA had sent out the Municipal Budget Committee roles and responsibilities. And I just think that this is a good document. I think we talked about it last year and shared it last year. But it's kind of a good reminder for folks, and it's kind of a baseline. So just something to sort of read and remind yourself on a few things, things like budget committees review but don't control expenditures, things like that, just to help steer the conversations and make sure that we're staying efficient and effective and on task. These are all big and important and good conversations, but I also want to try to be respectful of everybody's time. I know we're all volunteers here, relatively speaking, elected volunteers, so try to be mindful of everybody's commitments. But that was just why I threw that one in there. I had found this one to be pretty useful, with just some of the basics.
It's a good document.
Yeah, it is a good one.
Do you know when the budget workshop is, the NHMA one?
No, I don't.
No.
Did we have anybody sign up for that this year?
'Cause usually
People had
it's-
talk about it, but I
it's this
think
month, it's definitely-
it's coming up soon, right?
'Cause
Didn't he
if you
tell
haven't
us?
been to that, it's very helpful.
Do you think it's better than what we had?
I would say it's better. What we had was
more in
specific to
depth, I
us.
think.
It's definitely goes more in depth.
Comprehensive.
Yeah. We were lucky with what we had.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite good, and he stayed a lot longer than I thought he was going to. Actually, have we gotten responses yet on the questions we asked to that? Have you seen anything, Tim?
I have not. It's September 19th.
September 19th, okay. So,
Oh, no, that's in Littleton. I don't know. Littleton's a beautiful area.
it is, but that's a hell of a drive.
Derryfield one?
Yes, the Manchester one.
That's September 23rd.
September 23rd, okay.
And it is, you can, if you do sign up, you can do it virtually too, so you don't have to go in person.
Oh, that's right. That's right, they said that they were doing that. They're doing a multiple version, yeah, so that
We
would
haven't
be.
done it before. Like I said, I've done it 3 times. and it's-
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
time I've gotten more out of it, so.
I'm currently trying to work my schedule open. I have it in my calendar to try to make sure I
But if
can
you
go to that
register-
day, but it's hard.
They'll send you the recording.
Yeah.
So even if you can't attend.
Oh, excellent. That's a really good piece of
Good to know.
information. I didn't realize
I
that.
average like every webinar, and I'm like,
Yeah,
rating Saturday morning. I'm like,
yeah, well, what am I gonna do?
It's cartoons with this.
Keep
And
working?
the town still pays for it, correct?
What's that?
The town still pays.
Yeah. So actually, I didn't realize you got the recording, so if you can watch it at your own, you know,
Even if one person gets it, just forwards it out.
yeah, that might be absolutely worth it. Obviously, attend in person if you can, support the Dairy Field. They, you know, I own them in Manchester, but it's helpful. We get profit sharing from them. But, that's a really good extra point. So, just for the record, that was September 23rd, you said, in Manchester, at the Dairy Field Country Club for the next, opportunity for that
I
training.
think you can email Ellen or Nancy, the
Yeah.
town secretary.
Yeah, I'll actually make a note. I'll make sure.
Just to get a link for it, or?
Well, she can sign you up.
Perfect.
So she'll register.
I'll email Ellen and sign myself up, and I'll try to attend it as much as I can, but I will definitely distribute the,
And what is this? I missed the opening statement as to what this was.
it's the budget training. Workshop. Budget workshop, is that the title on it? Yeah. Hosted by New Hampshire Municipal Association. But yeah, I'll sign up and then distribute, for folks who either aren't able to attend or couldn't do it or whatever. But at least then we'll have it out for everybody too, so that would be good.
Cool.
And where is it again?
Manchester, at the Dairy Field.
Can I go to that and then play 18 holes?
I would love if you did.
You won't have time on that day.
You can play 18 fast if you're working at it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so I believe, unless anybody has anything else, I think that covers, item, if I can find my, there it is, yep, item, 5. So, item 6 is reviewing the calendar. Thankfully, Ellen remembered to fill in the statutory dates that I had forgotten to fill in when I originally distributed this, so I believe she sent this out. Well, she sent it to me today, so I'll send out the updated list to everybody afterwards, so people can have it digitally if they want as well. But she did point out, I think the one, big one that we need to discuss is the last one, listed for Thursday, January 30th, because that is actually after the due date for the recommendations. Recommendations are required to get in, from Budget Committee to, the municipality by January 23rd. So it's actually the last day, within our current schedule. And you'll notice that there is a snow day on the Tuesday before that, a placeholder in case either the town budget or the school budget hearing needs to be moved. So thought process on this one is we can potentially combine those additional meetings if necessary and make a determination early in that week if we think we're gonna need to use that Tuesday. Either if we miss either of the other two, or if we don't think that we're gonna be able to come to a final recommendation for budget in town, or school in town.
So wait, are you suggesting that we combine the town budget hearing, the school budget hearing, if we have to because of snow?
No, so the budget in town, recommendations to the budget in
Yeah.
town, that extra day,
Yeah.
combine that with the snow day. And so,
So on
The snow day
Tuesday,
is-
January 21st, instead of setting that aside for a snow day, we're gonna set that aside for a snow day if necessary and recommendations for budget, town and school,
yeah, and then we can use the 23rd as the extra day
emergency day.
if we need it. And then that way also, we're not trying to get the recommendations in on the 23rd when they're due by the 23rd.
Got a couple days.
Yeah, give a couple days in
Before.
case. Yeah, and I mean, something crazy happens, we gotta meet on Wednesday too, or whatever, we can figure that out in the moment, but
Yep.
try to at least give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room, so we're not right up to the 11th hour. Since, if I remember correctly, last meeting we had on that one went past midnight, so we technically been out of compliance anyway. Really hoping we're never doing that again.
Did that was past one?
It might have, I can't remember, it was so freaking late.
John wasn't happy.
There was one I saw, and I
was
told
a
my
late-
husband
that
this
was a
morning,
late one.
it went till
Yeah.
12:34 a.m. I'm like, so
I
get
got told
ready.
wisely.
Oh, and that
Really?
actually was only the recordings. The recording cut out for the last hour.
It cut out because of the time.
Because we timed
It
out.
timed out and we kept going.
Yeah, I had to,
Oh,
we
no.
were taking notes as we were all going. It
Yeah.
was,
Oh, wow,
I
okay.
usually fall asleep by 10, so that could be a problem.
well, honestly, I
Speed
think
things up to be, I mean, one less vote, there you go.
Just
you
bring
know,
a pillow.
Move it along.
So can you not do the recommendations after you do the hearing? Because I think that's how we had done it in the past, is after the hearing,
Yep.
going through it and then making the recommendations.
Right.
Okay.
Based upon the feedback from
I-
if there's any changes.
I think we pushed that out because it was long last year, or, I'm trying to remember why
It
that
went
switched.
long, but I remember the year before last, we did do the recommendations after the hearing. I mean, I guess that would be ideal, right?
Yeah.
So after,
Yeah.
Yeah.
on the 14th, hopefully do the town budget hearing
Mhm.
and recommendations, and then on the 16th, school budget hearing and recommendations.
And I think to your point with, I think all of these, the policies and procedures, if you're able to stick with those, I think a lot of the minutia that got mixed into the public hearing can be eliminated because we're there for the purpose of the public hearing, not for discussion about policy procedure for the school or for the town.
And hopefully that will help speed things along, you're right. But if we can do the recommendations on those 2 nights, then we can hold the 21st as a snow day, or the extra day as needed, and then we're still
sense.
well above the 23rd. Okay,
That makes sense.
that makes sense.
I think one of the other things that held us up last year, I'm remembering, was we had to approve a bunch of minutes on that, one of those nights. We
behind.
spent like an hour.
Like 2 or
Oh,
3
that's
sets
right.
that we had to go through.
Yeah, we got way behind on all those, that's right, yeah, because we cycled through minute takers a couple of times in like a short period, and
If
that's
I
right.
remember
That's a good point.
correctly, the year before that, we were in a little late on some of the dates on viewing budgets, and it kind of stacked down, so we were racing the clock a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully we can be getting those timely this year, and we're not fighting it too much. Okay, so I will make those recommendations to this calendar. Unless anybody has any other suggestions, I'll stick with that for the moment. Obviously, this is a living document. If we gotta move stuff, we gotta move stuff, no big deal, just let us know.
For the department head presentations?
Yes.
How do you want to divide those up? Do we kind of want to pick some of the more lengthy, involved ones and split them up? Maybe we can ask them, you know, give them a good heads up on who can come which night, or
It's a good idea. Don't make police wait until midnight
make
again.
police may
If I remember right,
hire.
the intention of that was so certain departments didn't feel pressed for time,
Right.
like they were getting chewed through.
Right.
That's all.
And it ends up getting hard after hour 3 of listening to presentations to
Yep,
still be paying attention
absolutely.
properly. Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. Does anybody have any thoughts on what might be a good split? I mean, I know PD is always a really long one.
PD, fire,
Fire's pretty long.
rec is long.
Rec can be long,
And rightly so, we're not short, and then
No, no.
the
Highway can
roads.
be long.
yes, and roads.
Roads.
So maybe if those are the big 4, I'll split those apart and then look through the budget and sort of fit some other ones in, and I'll come back with recommendations on this. We can all review it, we can move it as needed, and then we can let them all know in advance too, and they won't be sitting here.
It may not hurt to ask them to, I mean,
Yeah.
what do you anticipate, what are you looking for? You know,
That's true. Reach
Feedback
out-
from the heads,
Yeah.
if,
Yeah, I mean, once we settle on it, you know, in October, we can easily kick it out to everybody and say, hey, this is what we're thinking, does this make sense? Ellen, does this make sense?
sure.
What do you think? So, okay, absolutely. So I will make sure to split PD, FD, rec, and highway. Okay. Those are the biggies. Okay, excellent. Any other suggestions, recommendations?
No.
Excellent, okay. Subcommittee reports. Have we had any subcommittee meetings? Has that been starting? CIP?
CIP has, yep.
Excellent.
Yep, so we've had 2 meetings so far. We met on July 15th, and that was really just kind of like the housekeeping meeting. So we reviewed some of the material that Ellen had sent over to us about the, kind of like the role of the CIP committee. And she also sent us she sent us documentation on creating and maintaining an effective CIP, which is really helpful. And then she also sent us some data that came from, it's like population data specific to Nottingham, population, tax base, all of that, which was really helpful in terms of, thinking about it. You might want to ask her about it for this committee as well.
Yeah, it would be interesting to
That
see
would be, just for informational purposes,
Really
that'd be great,
helpful.
yeah. I'll add that to my list to
Yeah.
email to Ellen.
Exactly.
So it's like a detailed town-specific census, essentially? Something with like the,
Yeah, and it has information, help me out here. It has information about how many people, medium income and owners versus renters and size and relative to poverty line and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Really, really
Population.
interesting.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really, it didn't cover everything, but it hit the highlights, and it was
Correct.
interesting.
Yeah.
excellent, yeah, I'll ask for
Very
that,
helpful.
at least include it just for informational purposes.
It came from the Stratford Regional Planning Commission.
Oh, okay, yep.
So that was good. We looked at the kind of like the worksheet that was used last year. We had a couple of suggestions for modifying the worksheet to just like, first off, it needs to be expanded out to 2030. And then as part of the worksheets that the department heads fill out with their requests, they have to identify what priority they see it as, and they give it a number. And so we just asked for that to be added to the sheet as well. So that was the first meeting. The second meeting was August 19th, and we started to review the request forms for both the school and the town. So these were the first drafts. Have to say the school, was really organized and had it together. In all the years I've been doing this, it was the first year that I saw the school board having such great information early on. Not that it's final, it's still subject to change. Some numbers have to be updated there, so really good first pass from the school. The town, there was, a first pass, but there's still a lot of gaps to fit in there. So our next meeting is on September 30th, and that's where we'll be looking at the updated information from both the school and the town. So I think the good news there is that it's a good committee of people, and it has started earlier than ever. And there's good collaboration between the school and the town, so I'm really optimistic about the process.
Nice, that's good to hear.
Yep.
It's nice to hear that it's already started and you're already looking out.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's when you can really actually make advices for the
Yeah, 'cause then we
recommendations
can
for the
use it as
budget.
a real
If you
tool,
can really
right?
start with
Yeah, I
it.
feel like we're
I
taking
can
it
remember when
seriously, using it.
it never seemed to start, and we had to be prodding people to get it started.
Yeah, so
And
that's
this was
good to
in
hear.
January that we were prodding people to get it started.
Yeah, not really the time you want to be doing it.
School facilities.
Yeah.
We last met August 14th. Kicked around some CIP stuff about moving larger items around year by year and stuff like that. School's trying to put together a walkthrough of the school, and they wanted to invite the budget committee. If anybody wanted to attend. For the budget committee only, just if we want to come in, we can walk through.
Yeah.
We don't have a date set. Our next meeting is the 23rd, September. I can get a hard date for that, but,
Yeah, that would be great.
yeah, so.
It's always better to see what you're
At the,
talking about than.
at our last meeting, we didn't have a set date or something like that, but
Yeah.
it was something that was agreed upon that,
Yeah.
That's great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
No, I like that
I think
idea.
it's very important for the budget committee to do a walkthrough, because we get funding requests and only verbal reports one way or the other as to whether they're needed. We don't get to really see.
Yeah.
And
That's the main
see
intention
somebody
for all-
explaining why they
for
think
it.
they need it.
yep.
How's the boiler? Winter's coming.
Everybody's favorite topic.
Supposedly, it's running really good.
Great.
Well, now it's running really good.
Now's a good time to test it.
When the weather's 90, it's perfect.
Great.
Everything's working right now.
Beautiful. Yes, all the wood needs to be knocked on.
Yeah.
Town budget update, we didn't have anything for that. I wasn't actually honestly expecting much. I just threw it in there just in case. Ellen said she wasn't gonna be here tonight, she had other stuff, and out of all the ones, if she's gonna miss, this one's pretty mild, so she thought she could scoot by on this one.
Do you want me to give?
Yeah, whatever you got.
What's going
if you-
on? Dave?
Yeah, I mean, as of, so the third quarter obviously is gonna be ending into this month, but as of the end of the second quarter, the only department that was actually over budget was highway, which was not a surprise given the default budget and we lost $500,000 road warrant article, but, and they're actually fully staffed. Last year, they weren't fully staffed, so they've been getting a lot done with what they have, but, it costs a little bit more. We had 2 storms in the end of March and April that cost us quite a bit of money. So we're hoping that we have a mild start to the winter, and that can help. But he's done a good job over the past, kind of managing things.
Good, and everybody else is on or a little below?
47% of the budget, so.
Perfect, that's awesome. How far over was highway?
They're at 62% budget.
So, over, but not undoably over. Yeah, definitely peel it back a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, and I know the library
Scary.
project was done. They worked on that for 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
they were working on that where they weren't working on a lot of the town stuff, so.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, Tim, about the roads. First time ever in 20 years I've seen a roller after they got done grading it. I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah,
Who came up with that?
well, that's Mr. Rollins. I
That's
mean,
Steve.
he's got a
20 years I
lot of
never
experience.
saw that. I was like, what's this thing doing here? And I was like,
And I think
That's what it should be too, so
it
it's
was a
nice to
challenge
see.
for him this year because, I mean, he's very familiar with our roads because he used to plow them. But I think the challenge for him was stepping into this role, late last year and then coming into it. It was a terrible winter for roads.
Right.
And I think for a lot of the taxpayers, it was frustrating, especially if you live on a dirt road, because it was just, it would freeze and then thaw and freeze and thaw. and it
Oh, yeah.
just-
Freeze thaw cycle this
Yeah,
year was
so
rugged.
it was hard because people definitely weren't happy.
it
with
said Deerfield on it. We borrowed or something, or?
Was that?
The roller said Deerfield on it.
That's from Deerfield Sanding Gravel.
Okay.
Yeah, so we ended up having to rent quite a few pieces of equipment. We actually the town just purchased a chipper. It's the first chipper we've owned because they have to rent one. And with all of the tree damage we've had over the past few years, it's like every year they're renting a chipper and chipping.
And I got
branches.
free
It'll
wood
pay
chips.
for
It's
itself
great.
if you know what I mean? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good, so overall, pretty good.
Yep.
Good, excellent. School budget?
Sure. So I didn't know what to expect, so I just kind of wrote some notes.
Beautiful.
So the comprehensive in-house kind of preliminary audit for the 23-24 school year took place the week of August 19th, just to kind of get the scope of the engagement. We're hopeful that the audit report comes back earlier this year, now that we're fully separated from SAU 44. I think last year it came back in March, so we're hopeful maybe more December timeframe. At last night's school board meeting, which went till midnight, the school board unanimously voted to establish an audit/finance committee. We're gonna work to kind of establish what the composition of that looks like, but I think the desire is to have community members involved, and its purpose would just be for enhanced oversight and transparency in financial matters, kind of review our financial practices, see if we're following best practices. Adequacy aid, we just found this out last night, adequacy aid increased for fiscal year 25 for Nottingham by $26,871.17. There were some questions of why, how, again. There's no need to hold a special meeting because the board decided there will be no corresponding expenditures for that, so that will flow back to offset the tax rate. Talking about business practices, the BA stated that directors are now empowered to generate their own purchase orders, their requisitions for their purchase orders. That way they're more actively engaged in managing their own budgets throughout the school year. Allows for better oversight. No reimbursements, new policy, and following through on policy, there will be no reimbursements or invoices to be paid without a corresponding purchase order. Ensures proper budget encumbrance, and to maintain accurate financial records. We are just starting the budget process with the business office, but we're currently working, the focus was to spend some serious time and finalize our goals. So last night we spent a lot of time on developing our philosophy, our mission, our vision, because we want to use those as kind of the driver for our budget planning. Pair negotiations have begun. At our last meeting, they hadn't yet, so I believe there have been 2 meetings so far. The first was simply to establish ground rules, kind of set the stage, and then the other one was earlier today at like 3, I believe. The RFP, we were talking about walkthrough, that is actually due back on the 9th, so by Monday, those will all have to be in. And that's all I have.
Excellent.
Plenty.
Danielle, do we have the same BA and administrator from last year?
Correct.
Okay.
Hey Danielle, when you said directors now can submit their own POs, what's the director levels at the school?
So like building admins in the building, so like curriculum director, tech director, those kinds of positions.
Yeah.
Library.
Okay.
Any other questions on school budget?
I just want, like, the parent negotiations, I remember that one year, the contract was up and we got that night to vote on it. You remember that one?
I do.
2 years ago, and I was like, ugh,
Yeah,
I was just trying not to have that happen again
if
in
at all
the
possible,
future.
obviously. More time the better, but
Okay.
that doesn't always work out in negotiations, unfortunately, but, yeah, I'm gonna try to make sure that I'm being diligent with the emails and getting it out to everybody as quickly as I get stuff, so. As long as email's still the best way to reach out to everybody, that's my intended path for information communication.
Yep.
Perfect. Excellent. Any other business? With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. By Sandy, seconded by Tim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now we have to remember this when we go to midnight, right?
Yes. We got an early one.
First one's